What's up, guys? It's Ben and Bruce.
Hey.
And we are really excited to talk about the new Titan bags by West Georgia Cornhole. And what we're going to do today is just go in depth into each different bag so that you know what you want to get whenever you come to purchase and what's going to be best for you. So first up, with no further ado, we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about the pro bags, the pro stamp bags first, and then jump into the comp stamp bags. So the first bag that we're going to talk about is the GRIZZLY. Now the GRIZZLY bags, a little secret, these are the same as our Air Force Ones that we have been doing in the past, just rebranded for the new pro lineup. These bags have a 4-7 on the speed scale, have a flex of about 4,
right?
And that's out of the box. But once they break in, you can see, you know, that's
Gives you a little bit more.
That's pretty loose. Yeah, this is a broke-in bag here. It's made with our basket weave on the fast side and our carpet on the back side. These are really good bags for just controlling what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good middle ground bag.
Yeah, good intermediate.
Yeah, so you can kind of do whatever you want with these bags. Whether you want to put up a good block or push it, you can make it, and obviously the way you adjust your throw, you can adjust the speeds of the bag while you're throwing, but I would say that this is a really good bag for beginners who want to really test out what's going on, but not just for beginners.
Right.
Getting into competition stuff, you know.
It's kind of for pretty much everybody.
Right.
It does so much that even the more advanced player would be able to maneuver it and actually use it on the board a lot more than just trying to hold tight on the board.
Yeah, it plays real similar to my Reynolds bags that I've had in the past, like the Advantages and things like that. So it's a really good, solid bag. And if you guys remember, whenever we did our speed testing, the Air Force One, which is pretty much what this is, was right in the middle of that scale. So it could go for pretty much any different category of throwing style. So
you can use it for a lot of different shots, different ways around on the board. Gives you more control.
Yeah. As
you move on up, you know, from a lower tier to a higher tier player, it gives you everything you need all the way around.
Yeah, it's a fantastic bag. Next up, we've got the Devastator.
One of the favorites.
Yeah, this is a bag that a lot of people have been talking about lately, and for good reason. So the Devastator is a 6-8 on the speed scale. So it's made with our tight weave and our grid weave on the back. So the tight weave is the fast, grid weave is the slower, even though this is a slick bag.
Right.
It has a flex of 7, but look at that, man. When this thing breaks in, it is, whew,
yeah, it's nasty. I mean, it's still a good tight bag, but you get that loose kind of feel to where that's the main thing, is when you pull it back, you don't lose the pellets in your hand.
Yeah, these power grip pellets, you know, when you grip that thing to throw it, you know, it's not like the other bags where the beads are gonna come, you know, roll out of your hand when you're throwing. This one, you can get a good grip on it, release it, but once it hits that hole, I mean, this thing's just gonna droop.
And the nice part even with this is no matter how it lands on the board, whether it's on a corner or the front or flat or back in, it'll still hit and land flat and slide up.
It's gonna flatten out.
Yeah, it doesn't give you that when you hit the corner.
It's not a kicking.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it with some of the other ones. The stiffness of the bag, when it would hit on a corner, it would cause the bag to kick one way or another. And that one just, it's really, this is what me and you both use a lot of, just because of the versatility of it.
Yep.
It's because of the speed, I wouldn't give it to a beginner style.
Yeah.
But then again, depending on the way you throw it, it works out that way. If you're more of a real slide player,
I never would have imagined myself going with a slick bag in the past, but I mean, I've been doing a lot of work with it. So, yeah.
It's one of the favorites.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Next up, this is a bag that is causing a lot of buzz right now.
Right.
For good reason. and we'll kind of get into that a little bit here in a second. But this is the Ravager. It has a 5.8 speed and has a flex of 8 right out of the box, which is pretty crazy. So it's made with our tight weave on both sides. However, on the back side of the bag, it's got the control grid patch. So there's about a 3-inch square of the control grid on the back side of it that acts as a little bit of a brake.
Right, kind of not necessarily a patch, because it's not a patch.
Right.
It just gives you that slowdown, just enough slowdown.
Right. So I've heard people talking about how it's similar to the Game Changer in that you've got something that's going to slow it down, but it's not as braking as Suede. But then also, like on the Vipers, how they have the dots. Yeah. But it's more surface area than those dots. So it's right in between those. But you can see, the looseness of this bag. Super hole friendly, and it's a fast bag.
Yeah, it is.
But man, you can do a lot of really cool things with this.
Yeah, you get a good bit of control out of it.
Yeah, with the control grid, you can use that to block with, but it's still a movable block.
Right. You can still push it in if need be.
Yeah. So.
And it gives you nice if you want to throw it with a, I guess you would say, a higher revolution.
Yeah.
And really yank it. You can hit it and actually go to the the left or the right, however you want to do it, and actually pull it and twist the bag around something.
Yeah.
So you actually have that extra control. Unlike some of the other ones with fast sides or slow sides, it gives you that extra. You can loft it and really pop it and spin it around. So if you've got to go around the bag, you have that option if that's the kind of shot that's in your arsenal.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Stampede. Now the Stampede, it's been the #1 selling bag so far.
Which is kind of, that's not the one I would have thought would happen that way.
I know, same here. But I've found myself playing with these bags a lot.
I actually have a set that it's surprisingly the amount that you can do with it, and that's when we designed that one, that was not for the beginner or mid-grade. It was more of a real advanced player. And it seems a lot more of the beginners and mid-level players are the ones that are purchasing it to use. Yeah, and are falling in love with it.
Yeah, but this is overall the fastest bag that we have. It's a 610.
Yeah.
So it's got this really slick twill on the fast side, and then it's got our grid weave on the back side, which helps it break in super nice. It's a 7 on the flex. You can see it's a nice droopy bag. But man, this thing, talk about sliding. You can loft this thing, hit it on the front of the board, and it'll just slide right up into the hole. Super hole friendly. I mean, you can like wrap this thing around the back of the hole and do all kinds of crazy shots with it on the fast side, and then flip it over. You got your flop shots and anything else you want to do. You can even block with it pretty well.
Yeah, and that's what's been so ironic with the bag is that wasn't the intent for it. Yeah. The intent for the bag was for the slide, the push, and it's turned into something way beyond what we thought.
It's really crazy. Like, even just looking at the speeds of this bag, you would never think that you would get as much versatility out of it. And we can.
And it's been a real, I guess, blowed everybody's mind the way it's went, because that's not the purpose of what the intention was.
But man, I love this bag. Highly recommend.
Yes.
Highly recommend. So I'm playing with the Devastators and with the Stampedes currently, and I just can't get enough of them. All right, let's talk about this weird bag.
That is definitely a different one.
The Intimidator. Now, there are a lot of different bags on the market that share very similar fabrics. I've never seen one like this.
No, it's got a totally different feel than anything I've ever played with or have had been able to be a part of.
Yeah, so whenever we were doing the bag demos for each of these bags, on the Intimidator we explained that this fabric has some unique characteristics to it. So while right now we say that it's a 4-6 on the speed scale, this thing is an adjustable bag.
Yes.
And I know that sounds kind of dumb because obviously with your throwing style, every bag is adjustable.
Right.
But this bag in particular, the characteristics of the slide of this is really unique. So if you loft it up on the board on that slow side and hit, it's going to create a pretty good blocker, but it's almost an inertia based bag. So once you get it moving,
it'll keep going.
It'll keep going. So it's really interesting. So you can throw blocks that are pretty tough, but then when you slide it, this thing will slide. And the fast side of this bag is, you know, it's decently fast. So it's a 4.6 on the speed scale,
which is kind of throw shade on it.
Right, yeah, it's right there in the middle.
Yeah.
But you can make it go both ways.
You can do anything with it. You know, based on where you hit on the board, it actually will adjust itself. And it almost takes its own characteristic once it hits the board. It kind of, I don't know, it like turns into its own little monster and will move up the board as it seems fit.
Yeah, and we're calling this our micro knit fabric. And you're not going to see anything else quite like this out there. I would recommend getting a set of these just to see what's going on with them.
And the looseness, the flex on it is a 9, and that's right out of the box.
Yeah,
that's brand new. There is no break-in period with them.
I've never, I mean, other than just doing the demos with this bag, that's it.
Yeah, there is no break-in period. It's get one, order a set, get it in the mail, start throwing. Yeah, instant.
It's crazy. Yeah. All right, and last in the Pro Stamp bags is the Juggernaut,
which is a unique bag.
Yeah, talk about unique fabric. This is another completely unique fabric that's out there. You know, in the past, West Georgia cornhole bags, we've tried to just experiment with fabric to see, okay, what's the wildest thing we can do, and a lot of people really liked kind of the gimmick wildness of the bags, but these, they have uniqueness, but they're extremely playable and I would say engineered bags that are engineered for the professional level playing. So this bag, it has a 5.7 speed rating. And the fabric that we used on this, we're calling it our tweed. So it's got a tight tweed on one side, on the fast side, and it's got a loose tweed on the slow side of the bag. It's got a 5 on the flex scale. And this bag, it can be slow on the slow side, but you can make this thing get up and move on that fast side.
Yeah, and I think more of it's got to do with the way the fabric is. It's got like a, kind of like a friction base. It's got,
It's got little dimples that come off the face of the fabric that keep it
almost like
elevated from the surface of the board.
Like the feel of a football.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you loft it, it'll slow, but if you put a little oomph in it, it's like the dimples just sit there and it's able to ride.
They glide.
Yeah, it'll glide right on up there, especially with a good smooth board. Yeah. It definitely does its work.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so this bag is a more full feeling bag in your hand. A lot of the design behind this bag is the way that it feels and the release for consistent release.
And even when we were out doing the demo, none of the bags come out of your hand weird. Yeah. They all are smooth. It's almost like they glide the way they do on the board.
Right.
That's how they come out of your hand. It's nothing flops out, nothing just falls out, and that could be a lot of consistent with the pellets. You're able to hold it, throw it, and control your shots and not have to worry about the bag collapsing while you're in the backswing. Yeah,
and one of the important things that we thought through whenever we designed all the bags for this season was to have a very consistent feel between all of the bags. And with that, you know, because if you pick up one type of bag and then another, there is, you know, historically there was a lot of difference between them. With these, you can have a lineup of bags, pick up a completely different speed bag, but it's going to feel really similar in your hand. So there's not any issues with the release from bag to bag. So if you're in the middle of a tournament and, you know, it starts off really dry, but but then the boards start to slow down if it gets damp at night or something, and you need to throw something a lot faster, you can go from something like this to a Stampede, and you're not going to have any problems.
No. You just
I did it last night.
Yeah. A lot of us did as we were playing last night, had to change to a lot faster bag.
Yeah.
And even then, even last night, I was using the Devastators, and as it transitioned and cooled down and got a little more dew, all we did was just flip the bag over.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's the way a lot of the bags are. If you've got a condition change, all you can do is just flip the bag over.
Yeah.
And you may get another game or two before you actually have to transition to a separate bag, depending on the conditions outside, if that's where you are, or inside.
Yeah.
Because they all change. The boards will change as you play, and so.
Yep.
But you get the versatility with a lot of them to be able to do that.
Yeah. So that's the pro lineup. All right, now for the comp stamp bags for the 2021 season. And what do we have first? The Jekyll and Slide 3.0. Now, talk about a gimmick bag.
It's not a gimmick bag anymore.
It's not. In the past, it was kind of like what we were just talking about, experimenting and being crazy just to see what we could come up with. You know, the Jekyll and Slide was we're going to make the slowest possible bag on one side and the fastest possible bag on the other side. And we definitely did it.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of people say that the 1.0, I mean, it's like throwing a sneaker.
Yeah.
You throw that thing, hits the board, you don't know where it's going.
No, it could jump this way, that way. It's no matter, you don't know what's happening.
So, matter of fact, I've got the 1.0 right here, and you can see that thing is, I mean, it's like throwing a dinner plate.
Yeah, and it's hard to throw because it is so stiff. It's like throwing a Frisbee stiff.
Yeah, so this is a wild bag here. Just no flexibility to it at all. The backside's pretty much like a tire.
Like a tire. It's flinging a tire.
Man, these were some wild bags. So whenever we came out with the 2.0, we started searching for a rubber material that had some flexibility to it. And we did find it. So a little bit more flexible than that first 1.0
Didn't
bag.
have the stop like
But
the
yeah,
1.0.
It didn't kick so hard. However, with the 3.0, we've taken the grid weave concept, or excuse me, the control grid, and we've put it on the entire back side of the bag, and it's made it very flexible. So it's actually playable.
It is. Now it's a playable.
You can legitimately do damage with this bag.
Yes.
And seriously play with it. Like it's no longer
a gimmick.
A gimmick. Yeah, this is actually a playable bag. And I've already started to see some people play around with them.
Yeah. And a lot of it's got to do with the grid pattern on the back is not, it's across the whole thing, but it's in a honeycomb fashion, so you still get the flexibility of the bag.
Right, yeah.
So it's not like you're throwing a tire anymore.
Right, yeah.
It's got the...
But it'll still stop on a dime.
It will stop on a dime.
But it's not going to kick because the bag can roll. Yeah.
And if you throw it with enough force, it will flop over and roll the way you need to. So
the fast side of the bag, we changed it up.
Yeah.
So on the 1.0 and 2.0, we had the same just ridiculously fast fabric. We decided to tone it down just a little bit. I mean, whenever we were doing our tests with the scales and we would slide it down, you know, if you notice the Jekyll, I mean, it was 11 plus.
Yeah.
And that's because that fabric was so fast, but whenever we slid it, that thing went off the ramp and just kept going. With this one, stays on the ramp and goes right down there to the max and stops right there. So this is actually the same fast side as the Stampede.
Right, correct.
So it's very fast, but it's not so fast that it's insane.
No, and it's actually a good, as you could say, I guess a practice bag.
Yeah.
So for somebody that is trying to learn how to do a flop shot, that would be kind of your beginner, because you can use it and change the angle to where it would help you.
Yeah.
It could be considered, it's a playable bag, but you could use it almost as a trainer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's the one bag that you could actually do. You could throw a couple, set up block shots, and then use another bag to try to go around it and use it almost as a trainer style bag if you would like to.
Yeah, and we can, on the fast side, you know, you can still swing this thing around, roll it around the hole. It'll droop right in the hole.
The one extra bonus, nice, that we did not have with the Jekyll 1 and the 2 was that black was the only color you could get.
Right, yeah, now you can get whatever color you want.
Yeah, now it's you're not limited to just the black. You can get it in any color.
Yeah, so this is a cool bag.
Yeah.
I really like it. I'm looking forward to throwing with it a lot this year. So, all right, next up, what do we got? We've got the Scavenger. The Scavenger has the linen fabric on one side, and if you played with the F35s, it's that same linen, and then it's got our tight weave on the other. So it's got a slow fabric on one side, fast fabric on the other. So it's got a 5/8 speed scale. Now the linen, the one characteristic about it is that it's kind of a variable speed fabric.
Right.
Especially depending on humidity.
Yes.
So if it gets, if you're in a really dry condition, it's going to sit right there around the 5. Anything a little bit moist, it's going to tone it down a little bit, slow it down. Whereas the other side of this bag, the tight weave, the humidity just doesn't really affect it at all. It's a super loose bag, Flex 8, just right out of the rip. I mean,
right out of the box.
Right out of the box, this thing is super broke-in feeling. This is a good bag for doing some good block shots, but just more of like a controlled slide up to the hole, and then whenever you need to push it with that
and
fast
very
side.
very hole friendly.
Yeah, it's extremely hole friendly. Whenever we were testing out the bags at the beginning, I never really saw myself playing with this bag, but I've started to take on to liking it a lot more than I thought I would. I never really expected that I would like a bag that felt this loose.
Yeah, you're not usually a looser bag player.
But it's a good bag.
It is.
Yeah, definitely. If you like really loose bags, this is a good one to go for. It'll just melt in the hole. All right, next up is the Dozer. The Dozer is the traditional suede style bag, stick and slick. So yeah, it's got the suede on one side, and then it's got our grid weave on the other. It's got a 2.6 speed rating, which is, you know, kind of on the lower end of the scale.
Right.
So I would definitely, somebody who's getting into cornhole, competitive style, and starting to learn how to get your shots honed in, I would definitely start with something like this bag.
Right.
It's got a 4 flex right out of the box, but you can see after it breaks in, I mean, it'll get loose.
Yeah.
It's a very comfortable stick slick bag. A lot of the stick slick bags in the past have a more rigid feel to them, and I wasn't always a fan, but this one breaks in quite quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't have that stiffness where it feels like you're throwing just a dinner plate up there, and it does. You're able to do quite a bit with it.
Yeah.
I mean, even the suede, if you put a lot of oomph in it, it will scoot up there the way you need to, and it's not overly sticky.
Yeah, and you know, it's good for blocks.
Yes.
For forming those walls with the way that your hand is on the suede. It's good for throwing airmails. You got a lot of control over your release. But yeah, it's a good bag.
Yes.
I like it. The Charger. So the Charger, I didn't really know what to think about this bag when we first made it.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird combination of what we did.
This was a last minute thought, honestly. But it has turned out to be kind of wild.
Yeah.
So I've played with this bag a lot. I've gotten pretty far in several tournaments with it as well. It's got a 4.6 speed. It's got a 6 flex out of the box, and it's made with our grid weave and carpet. So it's a really unique matchup of fabrics for sure. But this is your control bag right here. This is just monster control. You place this bag where you want it, and you don't have to worry about the kicking or anything like that, because it'll flatten out real nice. And this bag over time, it'll continue to break in. That's one of the unique characteristics about this grid weave fabric. It just continues to break in over time. But the Charger is one of the most reliable bags.
It is. It's
in the lineup.
A really good bag as far as anything you want to do. Control shots.
Yeah. So like if you're playing in a tournament, for example, and you're starting off with a really fast bag, and you notice that you're just having a hard time getting straight shots, switching over to something like this might be a good idea because you'll be able to control it a lot better.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
You're not going to pay for your mistakes
as
badly. So it's
you really have to attempt to throw it off the bag.
Yeah, it's a great bag. Definitely a useful tool. Talking about useful tools, the most hand-friendly bag
in
the lineup is the Mauler. This bag, you just put it in your hand, and it's just, I don't even know how to describe the way this feels. It's just so nice.
It is.
It's made with the grid weave on one side and our basket weave on the other. So this is a bag that's definitely going to be breaking in more and more over time. It's got 5.7 speed. So this bag is, as far as speed and flex, it's almost identical to the Juggernaut. However, they feel totally different in your hand. The way that the fabric feels, the way that the release works with them. But you know, this bag has a 5 on the flex right out of the box, but you can see, I mean, this thing is breaking in real nice.
Well, just like floppy. Even in our old line, that one was kind of an off kick of the Maverick.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where we went with it because there was a lot of people that really enjoyed that bag.
Yeah.
So we kind of took that one and toned it down just a little bit.
Yeah, we
tweaked it, made it a little more of a fuller style to be more in your hand. And it's actually, I've been playing with that one and it's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing on me as far as the ability I am able to do with it.
Yeah. So I carry 4 sets of bags with me when I go to tournaments, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
This is just engineered for the release. If you're wanting to learn consistent release, this is a great bag to start with. It's a fantastic bag. All right, last but not least, the Mangler. The Mangler is another one of those really unique fabric combinations. It's got this micro weave kind of fabric on one side, and it's got the carpet on the other. So this is another stick slick bag here, but it's not your traditional suede stick slick bag. This thing is pretty nasty.
It is.
So if you've ever played with our Cosmonaut bags in the past, imagine the Cosmonaut, but instead of suede, it's got the carpet, so it's a less sticky, but still stick. So it's more of a control stick, and then that really fast side. So this bag has a 4.8 on the speed scale, but this slick fabric here, it can get faster depending on conditions. So you can do a lot of good work with wrapping around the hole, splitting bags, doing some crazy pushes. Matter of fact, I did a really crazy push with it yesterday. So you've got a lot to work with this bag. I really enjoy this. I didn't think I would like it as much.
Yeah, when we first did it, I didn't think that was going to be a bag that I would even consider to put in an arsenal. But it's, the more I through it, the better off it's becoming, more of a tool.
Yeah, and it's essentially a more honed in, more engineered bag than the Cosmonaut.
Right.
So taking the concept of what people liked about the Cosmonaut and making it a little bit better so that people have more control over what they're doing with it.
More playability.
Yeah. So that's a wrap. So if you want to check out these bags, be sure to go check out the demos of us throwing these bags, and go check out where you can purchase them, TitanCornholeBags.com. And you need to get some boards to go with them.
Absolutely.
WestGeorgiaCornhole.com, or you can also get some bags on, or some boards on TitanCornholeBags.com too. Go check us out on Facebook, Instagram. We're doing all kinds of giveaways throughout the year. And we've also got some limited release bags that are going to be coming out too. So keep your eyes peeled for those. We're only releasing just a few sets of those for each series. So be sure to get your hands on some of those. But yeah, thanks for watching.